What's going on, guys? Mecha Ishi, and we're going to be putting together the Collect and Connect New 52 Doomsday. Let's do it.
Level 138 in progress. Prepare for launch in 3, 2.
Step out of your world and step into mine.
Welcome back, guys, to another DC Comics Multiverse action figure review. And as you can see before, you have all 6 figures needed to build this Collect and Connect New 52 Doomsday. We have the Dark Knight Returns Carrie Kelly Robin that comes with the right leg. We have the Jesse Eisenberg Batman v Superman Lex Luthor that comes with the torso. We have Superman Doomed that comes with the right arm. We have the Dark Knight Returns Armored Up Batman that comes with the lower torso and also the head. Also from the Dark Knight Returns, we have the Mutant Leader with the left arm and the television series Supergirl with the left leg. Now that we have all of his pieces, let's put Doomsday together. Now the first thing I'm going to do is connect the upper torso and the lower torso together. So we just snap that right into place, and you see we got a nice swivel there. I'm going to get the articulation a little bit, and then I'm going to take his head and pop that right into place onto this peg. You got a nice hole there. Just give it a little wiggle until you hear the snap. I'm going to plug his left arm right into the socket. Make sure you hear that snap. Give it a little wiggle too to make sure it is secured. And I'm going to do the same thing with the right arm. Let's plug his left leg in now. Hit that snap and do the same thing with the right. Snap that in place, and here we have New 52 Doomsday. So here is the New 52 Doomsday put together, and oh my goodness, he is huge. He stands at 8.5 inches in height, and from shoulder blade to shoulder blade, he's about 5.5 inches wide. So that is pretty big, and he's gonna look very imposing battling the New 52 Superman. Now let's take a closer look at this Doomsday. Now with the dark gray skin tones and all the spiky prominences going throughout his body, and especially his little prison green shorts that he has, this is definitely Doomsday, albeit a different version. This is the New 52 one that looks a lot more like a demon. Now the head sculpt of this Doomsday seems pretty weird. I mean, I'm sure it's just the character design from the New 52 version, but I'm definitely a bigger fan of the classic look to Doomsday. I mean, I do like that these kind of hair bony things come out to look like horns. That looks pretty cool, but when looking at the side, I mean, that looks so weird. I mean, you see here this a rounded portion and then it spikes up. That just looks totally off. They should have molded that in or sculpted that in a little bit better. It looks like it was definitely attached on. And then you have the eyebrows, which are so thick and white, and I think it should have been painted a little bit sharper. It looks like just maybe this side has a little more paint than the other. I do love those bright red eyes. They look awesome. You got a little black outlining it. You got a bunch of sculpted detail at the forehead here. You can see a lot of bone sculpted at the center of his forehead going up. He does have a very skeletal appearance with his big high cheekbones coming out. That looks awesome, and you see a lot of wrinkled sculpted detail in there, even by his jaw. And then his teeth are nicely done. I love the sculpt of the teeth, and it has that lighter gray aspect to it. And even at the bottom part, I mean, take a look at that side profile. Yikes. I like the way they sculpted in the spikes by his jaw and by his chin, but as you can see, the paint seems unfinished there. He does have this nicely sculpted and painted dark red tongue. That looks awesome. Now, while the head design is very different from the classic Doomsday, here we get to more familiar territory with these awesome looking spikes on this gigantic body. I love the sculpt of this light gray spikes coming out by his shoulders, and then you have the smaller ones right at the tip of his shoulder. It looks so cool. And then you kind of have these jagged edges going down his spine, and just such an awesome job with the sculpt. They could have added a little bit of a wash there because it's just all in that lighter gray, and it kind of almost looks like whiteout at some points, which is kind of a bummer, but it is still pretty cool looking. Now all of the gray is done in that nice dark gray color, and it's all molded in the plastic, so no actual paint being used there. But as you can see on his inner triceps, we do have some sculpted bones that are unpainted. So, I mean, it is towards the back, so it's not that big of a deal, but still. We do have some nice sculpted detail and a decent paint application of that lighter gray here on the outside of his biceps. We got some more bone going down his forearms, on his fist, and on his knuckles, which is always awesome to see on Doomsday. I love the sculpted musculature of this body mold, and we've seen this body used before with some DC Universe Classics figures and even in the DC Signature collection, so this isn't new to us, but they did add some newly sculpted pieces here, like the bone on the center of his chest, and that looks so cool. And they did a very good job with the paint applications. Not much spillage, and the paint seems to be painted all within the sculpt nicely enough. Then we go on down to his shorts, which are reminiscent of the prison uniform Doomsday. Now you have the same dark green, and you have a lot of black straps, which are sculpted in. You see the lines all the way done. Got a little buckle there, and it goes all the way around his thighs. Not much going on at the back, but you can see they have a sculpted in black belt there and nice silver buckles. Now going down the rest of his legs, you see more of that dark gray skin tone until you get to his shins, which are loaded with sculpted detail. Again, I wish the paint applications were a lot better. Maybe they would have added a wash to separate all of that detail, but it does look pretty cool. And then it breaks off into some more scaly features on the back here by his calves, which as you can see are unpainted. And then it looks like they just ran out of paint totally because none of his toenails are painted in that same light gray. But you do have some nicely sculpted feet. Now there are no peg holes at the bottom of this Doomsday figure, but I don't think you should have any problem standing the big guy up. So as you guys saw, the head is on a high peg, so you can rotate the head all the way up with no hindrance whatsoever. And in his default head pose, he cannot lower his head any further, but he can raise it up a good amount. Now for the shoulders, you do get a full range of motion all the way around, but you have to maneuver it in a way because he has so many muscles popping out, it's kind of hard for him to move it. Now he can't extend his arms all the way up like that, but it's limited because he has a big beefy shoulder, and also you have the bones banged into each other, and it goes down to the side a good amount as well. We do have a bicep swivel, a single jointed elbow, and a full rotation of the wrist. And also I forgot to mention, nicely sculpted hands, and again unpainted fingernails. Now he has an ab crunch which allows for forward flexion about that much, not much at all, but he is able to arch his back a good amount. We have a nice waist swivel here, but it's very loose on mine. Now his hip joint allows for limited movement with his leg. I mean, he can go to the side a good amount like that, but when kicking his leg up to the front, he stops right about there, because if you go any further, you're gonna pop the leg right out of the socket. And there is no backward leg movement whatsoever because of the sculpt of his bottom banging into the sculpt of his hamstrings. But we do have a nice thigh swivel, only a single jointed knee, which is very loose on both of my knee joints. And then we have a hinge at the ankle, which allows for downward flexion a pretty decent amount, and then it can go upwards only about that far because the sculpt of his foot bangs into the sculpt of his bones. And of course, no ankle rockers, which is always a bummer. Now, even though I still have this classic Doomsday from the DC Signature Collection inside this amazing packaging, I wanted to give you guys a side-by-side glimpse of the new 52 one up against the classic version. Now, it's not going to be a true comparison because I will be taking out this Doomsday from the Signature Collection and doing a review on him in the near future, and I'll get them side by side again. But I did want to point out he looks a lot bigger, not just because he's standing on a little bit of plastic, but his mold seems a lot wider, and of course the paint applications on the classic Doomsday are far superior. So make sure you guys subscribe for that upcoming review. And of course we have the new 52 Doomsday side by side with the new 52 Superman from the DCUC. Now this is very cool, and take a look at the big scale difference, again with Doomsday being 8.5 inches in height and Superman being your standard 6-inch scale DC Universe Classics figure. And now new 52 Superman and Doomsday are gonna go at it again, and we all know what happens next. So there you have it, guys, my video review of the Collect and Connect new 52 Doomsday. Such an imposing figure, as you guys saw when standing up against Superman. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a thumbs up and check out my channel for other reviews I've done, and I have so many cool things coming your way, so make sure you all like, subscribe, comment, and share. You know what to do. Peace.